Okay, so welcome back to our third and final hour of the Nauction Records auction highlight reel for auction number 72. We have a couple of records that are, I don't know, Jack, pretty cool, I think. Pretty cool.
They're 3D, which is, really a standout kind of attribute compared to most of our records.
Kind of. So let's take a look. This is lot number 1160. So if you turn to that page in your book, you're going to see a whole write-up on these things. These are recordings that commemorated the 25th anniversary of the reign of Kaiser Wilhelm II. You'll see 1888 to 1913. Here's a picture of him on the front of this presentation box. This is the information that's recorded on the disc, the catalog number, gramophone number 040749, the overture from Jubel by Karl Maria von Weber, and played by the Gramophone Orchestra. And this has a record inside, which is actually inside a metal tray. And this record, as you can see, does not have a spindle hole.
It just has a dude.
We have a bas-relief portrait of the Kaiser here in the middle, with the same wording around the edge as we saw on the front cover of the box. And we have a description of this on the back of the record. And if I get my catalog and turn to, what is that lot number, do we say?
1160.
I cannot read that upside down.
Can't believe it.
With a reflection off of it.
What page is that on?
It's page 18. Okay, so what we see here in German, it says, with the highest permission of His Majesty the Emperor and King. Gramophone Festival recording on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the monarch's reign, sold for the benefit of the Kaiser Wilhelm Children's Home, Albeck. So these were issued with several different selections. So this, as we saw, is just an instrumental selection by the Gramophone Orchestra with what would have been your relatively typical Red Seal label, had this been just a normal pressing, reproduced on the back. This is not really a spindle hole. That's just a little indentation. It really serves no purpose other than to look like a spindle hole. So how would we play this on our phonograph if we actually wanted to listen to it? Well, they have provided us with a tray that's very dusty from the green felt inside the box. So your record sits inside the tray, which has the spindle hole on it, and you can play it that way. Now this, of course, is going to elevate the record on your turntable. So if you want to play this at home, you would have to have a turntable or a tone arm that would elevate high enough to be able to clear this. It's probably a good half an inch or better of height to be able to play the record. But if you could do that, if you could manage it, then you could listen to this record.
Yeah, it's a good thing we sell those here at Nauction Records.
Oh, it's a good thing for sure.
The Audio-Technica 140 XP. Huh?
And even the edge of the record here is a little bit higher than the groove surface, so you're going to have to get up a ways to play that. That's probably at least a couple of diamond discs, 2 or 3 diamond discs thick. So that is a very, very cool record. We have a minimum bid of $500 on that, and it's in really nice condition too. The record actually came either packaged in a square box, as we see here. This one has a little bit of a little damage to the corner. Not too serious.
Well, if you don't like damage to your corners, just get a box that doesn't have corners.
Get a box that doesn't have corners. That's right, like this one he's talking about. So here we have the same sort of an idea in a circular box with a recording by Paul Knupfer. Paul Knupfer. Let's try that.
It's okay. It's upside down, so it's harder to pronounce.
Yes, it is. That's right. Thank you, Jack. So this does not have terribly serious box damage, but unfortunately the record has a couple of cracks. Well, actually the record was broken, and it has been reassembled from several different pieces. This is not playable. It will skip or repeat over where the repairs have been made, and it is pretty heavily dish warped as well, as you can see. So unfortunately that's kind of messed up, but you do get it. You do get the tray. You get a decent box, so that's cool. If you happen to have a nice intact record that doesn't have a box, then maybe you could make that swap out. Or if you just can't afford to spend $500 to $1,000 on that example over there, you may bid on this one, and this has a minimum bid of $50.
That's the next lot number 1161.
Right, and this is definitely worth $50, even if the record wasn't with it, just for the box and the tray. So those are a couple of very interesting discs. So we have had in many auctions examples of the Harper Columbia Bubble Book series. Okay, lot number 1005 is a complete set of the Harper Columbia Bubble Books. There were 16 different issues and 5-inch discs coming in little kitty albums. And let's just take a look and see what that looks like. These happen to come with the original boxes. All right. Unfortunately, the boxes are largely falling apart. This may be the better one of the examples that we have. It's only got one panel that's fallen off. The others are kind of falling apart a little
These
bit
are
worse than that.
Like 1924 somewhere in there. What time period are we talking?
These are
a little earlier.
These are going to be earlier than that. So let's see what the date was. They were introduced in 1917. And do I say when they ended?
When did the bubble burst?
Yeah, bubble burst a little bit later. It was actually picked up by Victor later. We don't have the Victors, but then it was reacquired by Columbia later. All of the story is inside the catalog, but anyway, the nice thing about these is that even though the boxes are kind of falling apart, and you very seldom see the boxes anyway, but the books themselves are in really nice shape.
That's probably the best bubble book I've ever seen.
Yeah, bubble books typically are pretty beat up, torn. These, for the most part, are really nice and clean.
And it's not necessarily that they're torn up because they were mishandled by the kids. It's just that the records inside of them are heavy compared to the pages, and they just tear through the paper.
Yeah, and probably do get kind of kicked around by the kids.
Yeah.
So we've got all of the bubble books in boxes, and of course the records go into bubble books. Now your very first bubble books had records that look like this, single side discs,
kind of like a little wonder in a way.
And the text of the book goes along with the record, right? And then your 1930s Columbia bubble books came with a little Vivatonal label. So those are kind of cool.
So were the bubble books originally pressed by, the same company that did Little Wonders? What does the back say on the first one?
Yeah, these are Little Wonders were pressed by Columbia. Little Wonders featured Columbia artists.
That's true. But the back of that first one you showed, does it have the same stuff that a Little Wonder would on the back? It looked like it.
Maybe. Hang on. Yeah, the Little Wonders in Columbia bubble books were being pressed at the same time in the same series. You can buy the Little Wonder discography, and it includes the bubble books in there. So what I want to show to you now, this is what makes this interesting. Aside from the fact that it's a complete set of Columbia bubble books in nice shape, the provenance of this is what's really cool. So if we look here on the front cover of this, it says story by Ralph Mayhew and Burgess Johnson, pictures by Rhoda Chase. Ralph Mayhew was the guy who had the idea for the bubble books to begin with. And there's a write-up on him in the catalog. I won't go into it. But he produced, he wrote, he promoted the bubble books. He's the one who finally was able to get Columbia on board with this, with Harper Publishers, and produced this series. Well, this, in fact, was Mr. Mayhew's personal set of Harper Columbia bubble books. So that makes it really, really cool. Now, I could just say that, and you could believe it or not believe it, and, that would, I guess, go as far as you trusted me. But what we happen to have here is some pictures that came along with it. So here is a picture of Mr. Mayhew with some kind of fanciful animal.
It's a jail horse.
Yeah, something along those lines. And we do actually have the corner that fell off of this. Unfortunately, the pictures are not in much better condition in those boxes. And we also have Grace. So Grace was a Ziegfeld Follies showgirl who he kind of partnered up with for, I guess, a number of years. I don't know how long that relationship went, but here they are sitting together. So Mr. Mayhew and his showgirl. And that still might not mean anything to you because even though Grace went by the name Wonders, Grace Wonders. And so the back of this card here is indicated Ralph Wonders, but his actual name was Ralph Mayhew. So that still doesn't really get us anywhere. How do I know who that is? But here is the card that came with it. This is the same size card as what we have in the bubble books. This is my only complete set. Please keep it intact, Ralph Mayhew. And this is actually on consignment from people who were connected to Ralph's family, or actually more specifically to Grace. That's why on the back of one of these things it says Aunt Grace. So these actually did originate with Mr. Mayhew. And if you are a collector of bubble books, children's records, if you're interested in recorded sound history, this is a very nice little package. And because of Mr. Mayhew's wishes, it is being sold as a set. We are not breaking it up. We are indeed keeping it intact. So some lucky bidder is going to wind up with that. And I believe, what's the minimum bid on this, Jack?
$500, I think.
$500.
Sounds like a pretty good entry level offer there.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was not Mr. Mayhew's personal set, $500 for a complete set of Harper Columbia. Well, the 1930s Harper didn't have anything to do with them, but complete set of the Columbia bubble books, $500 would be a very legitimate price for that. So anyway, now we are here. So this is our final video. This is the gem quality section. So if you have a copy of this catalog, you can look right here on the table of contents page. Gem quality starts on page 70. Now this is a Vintage Record Auction 72 catalog. If you do not have a copy of this, you can go to 78rpm.com, which is in little tiny letters down here, 78rpm.com, and you will be able to download a PDF file of exactly what I'm holding here. Everything basically except for the cover. But we do have what are called the auction highlights featured on a page in a slideshow format on the website. Now, you will see in these videos a lot of what is on the auction highlights, but then there are a lot of auction highlights that you will not see in this video. So if you want to see everything there is to see without actually physically walking in here, and because every record behind me is actually in the auction, plus all around me as well, we can't show everything. So the auction highlights video or the highlights page on the website will show you some things you're not seeing here, and those are scans that we did, but that's very time consuming. So that's why we do these videos, to be able to show a whole lot of stuff in a short period of time.
It's a very
Relatively
yeah.
short.
It's still time consuming, but it's a little bit more interactive at least.
That's right. Now, if you do decide to bid on any of these records, then there are different ways of doing that. You can send me an email with your bids. You can put a letter in the mail. There are people who still do that.
Sometimes people fax them.
You can fax them. That's right. We got our fax number on this front cover as well. We do have people who actually use the telephone, however. Honestly, guys, we take phone bids. We're happy to take your bids, but it would really be easier for us if you would use the online bid sheet. We are so busy around here. We got so much going on, and to be answering the phone, taking bids, if you guys could just use the online bid sheet or send them in an email, that really would help us out. If you've never used the online bid sheet, give it a shot. If you have the online bid sheet, I think you will find the new one to be even better than it had been originally. One more announcement before we get started. This is the Nauck's Vintage Records Radio Dismute Bidder Request Show. We do an internet radio program which features upwards of 15 hours of entertainment and commentary, sometimes very
Sometimes it's entertaining commentary.
Sometimes it's very educational commentary. Sometimes it's totally bogus commentary, but it's generally fun. And that's me and Jack and Mark, sometimes Brian, who will sit in, and we just play through records in the auction. A lot of the records that you're going to be seeing in this highlight reel, we will be playing on a Bidder Request Show, because it is so rare and so good and in such pristine condition. We know we're never going to see it again. And so it's like, hey, if I don't play it this time, I'm probably never going to have an opportunity to play it again in a Bidder Request Show setting. So tune into the Bidder Request Show. It is the weekend prior to the closing of the auction. That is like 7 or 8 days prior. Yeah. And then the weekend of the auction closing. So the auction closes on a Saturday night, so this will start Saturday morning, play all the way through Saturday night into Sunday, and all the way up through midnight or thereabouts Sunday until the show is over. So it's all kinds of great stuff, but stuff that we've picked out or that some of our bidders have asked to hear that is interesting, either from a technical perspective or a historical perspective, or we talk about what styly sizes we're using, what speed we're playing at, whatever. So I think you're going to enjoy it. If you don't happen to hear the show, you can buy the CD. This actually gives you a better resolution file anyway. You get MP3 files on here. They're going to sound great. You'll be able to hear what we're talking about in the background when we say, oh, did you hear that guy cough in the the brass section or something? You'll hear that on the CDs, and you can play them to your heart's content. Those are available on our website, 78rpm.com. They go all the way back to auction 39 when we started. And when we're not playing Bidder Request shows on the internet, you can hear Radio Dismute Station, which is a 24/7 dance band station. It's been on for years now, and there are a lot of people who just keep their dial set to that, and they never listen to anything else because it's great music you're not going to hear elsewhere. In this auction, we are selling the Wilson cylinder phonograph. That is an electric cylinder machine. Finally, an electric cylinder machine has been built, which will play not just standard cylinders, but if you upgrade it, you can play salon, concert, and 20th century 6-inch cylinders and dictaphone cylinders as well. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to mortgage the house to do it. We sell the Archaeophone. That is a fabulous machine, but it's $30,000, which is a little out of the price range of most collectors. This one is about $1,900 for the base home model, which plays standard size cylinders, and I believe about $3,500 for the one that plays all the other sizes as well. So that's much more reasonable, about the cost of a very nice turntable, and that will enable you to play a cylinder electrically with an actual cartridge and stylus like you would play a disc record, and it plugs right into the phono end stage of your preamp or your amplifier, and you can play it right there through your stereo system. So if you're interested in that, by downloading the catalog or looking in the back of the hard copy, you will see how to go about ordering one. Now, Jack, let's get into it. All right, we ready?
Go ahead.
Starting with lot number 5052 from the 1930s. Here's Martin and Roberts doing Hot Corn. $300 minimum bid, lot number 5052, Melotone. Another ARC pressing is Alabama Rascals, Nancy Jane, $150 minimum bid for lot number 5089. Gem quality records are just as they sound. These are gem quality records. There's not a record in here that grades below E-. Many of them grading much higher than that. This is Georgia Washboard Stompers. You'll hear it on the Bidder Request Show. $100 minimum bid, lot 5117. You'll notice that these are in label and number order. Bluebird. Jimmy Rogers, $250 minimum bid, 5121. Jack will tell you that collectors tend to prefer these over the Victor issues because they are quieter surfaces. You don't have quite as much graininess as you often find on your Victor scrolls. This is a $250 minimum bid of $51.22 to Ford Bailey on the Harmonica Ice Water Blues. Here is $51.24 with a $500 minimum bid, the Sparks Brothers 61 Highway. This is a M- record. This is the highest grade it is possible to receive in a Nauction. Okay, we do not use mint. All right, the highest thing we will give is a mint minus. A mint minus looks as if it was new. There's a little piece of dust. How'd that get on there? So this is what you can expect from a mint minus record. That is beautiful. Does that look as beautiful to you as it does to me?
Yeah, I mean, I won't see another record in quite that nice shape for quite a while. Unless you have the next one coming up.
The next one coming up, maybe.
Oh, okay. Well,
all right. Well, this is only E+.
Close. Oh, man.
You would put an E+ and an M- record down on the table, and you ask a guy to pick which one is the E+ and M-, and I would bet you that 8 out of 10 couldn't tell you because they are that close. E+ is basically M- with the tiniest little scuff or just, a little thing that nobody would even care about. So E+ and M- are almost the same thing. So here's another Jimmy Rogers record, $100 minimum bid, $51.25. Here's Salty Holmes, Kentucky Blues, Bidder Request Show item, $75 minimum bid, $51.26. Here's Pete Wheatstraw, Devil's Son-in-Law, lot number 5132, $500 minimum bid. Pete, I'm sorry, I thought I said Pee Wee. I was about to say Pee Wee Creighton. That's not who this is. It's Pete Wheatstraw again. Creeping Blues, another $500 M- record, $51.33. Neckbone Blues, James Gordon, $500 minimum bid. E-, one side, E+ on the other. 5134 is the lot number. M- condition, Rockhouse Blues, Eddie Morgan, $1,000 minimum bid, lot number 5137. You would ask, where do you get all these M-, E+ records like this? Depression era blues material, obscure artists you're never going to see anywhere else. How does that even happen? Well, we were blessed with a couple of great collections a few years ago, and we've been working our way through them. So, M-, $250 minimum bid, lot 5138. The Sepia Serenaders, Dallas Blues. Here's Big Boy Teddy Edwards. An E copy, $200 minimum bid, $51.39. How about YMV Blues by Washboard Sam, $500 minimum bid, E+ $51.40 is a lot number on that. Jack, what does YMV stand for?
I listened to it. I still don't know exactly what the acronym means, but it's some name of a train.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, he talks about riding the YMV to somewhere.
$250 minimum bid for lot number 5143. All right, lot number 5145. Tampa Red. $75 minimum bid. Now here's one where you can see where the sticker had been removed at 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock there. Joe Kennedy and his Rhythm Orchestra. Rhythm is our business. $50 minimum bid. E-condition record. Little light label spadane. Not on this side. They only put the stickers on the one side. All right. Okay, what do we have here? Benny Moten. It's Kansas City Orchestra. $50 minimum bid for $51.55. Here is Charlie West, Ethel May. $200 minimum bid. Bidder request show item. $51.59. When I say bidder request show, it means that we plan on playing that for the bidder request show. But, you know, we're planning on playing a whole lot more stuff than we're actually going to play. So you may or may not actually hear it. No guarantees, but it is on the playlist. We'll just see what we have time for. Now we go to Brunswick. So here we have lot number 5229 with $50 minimum bid. Red Norvo in a Mist. He isn't the only guy who recorded in a Mist, Jack.
No, he's one of, I mean, as far as the 78 era is concerned, he's one of not many.
All right, here's Arnold Wiley on a Lightning Bolt Brunswick. A lot of your Lightning Bolts, I think I may have mentioned earlier, have faded labels. They just, the gold doesn't hold up well, it oxidizes. But this one is really nice. It's a very pretty one. The Arnold Wiley Rag, $150 minimum bid for lot number 5230. 78 quarterly, estimates less than 30 copies of that. And here's another Lightning Bolt.
Little faded on that one.
A little more faded. $200 minimum bid for lot 5231. And that's by Speckled Red. Another faded copy of the world famous Williams Jubilee Singers. E plus condition, $250 minimum for lot 5232. Probably be playing that one on the show. Had some really nice late champion labels in our last auction. We got a couple here as well. Nice late black label, $16,787. That's getting up there. Howard Thomas and his orchestra. $300 minimum bid. Lot number 5284 on the bidder request show playlist. And here's one of the Decca champions. The rights to champion was sold to Decca, and so they repressed some of these using original metal parts. This is a $200 minimum bid, lot number 5285. And that's the Dixie Serenaders. And you can tell these easily because right down here at the bottom it says manufactured by Decca Records.
But those are Jeanette Masters that they're used for that recording.
Right, yeah.
But
correct.
This one I think is no, that's also Jeanette, yeah.
This is 5288 with a 250 minimum. I can't read it, Jack. Who is this?
It says Alphonse Trent in his orchestra, After You've Gone.
Okay.
Very good record. Unique arrangement.
Ike Robinson and his Windy City 5.
Yeah.
$50 minimum bid. And
so I think that's an example of a Decca master, not a Jeanette master.
oh, this one is. Okay.
But it's still cool.
This is 5289. 5305, $50 minimum bid, Ruth Etting. Ruth Etting is a very commonly encountered female singer from that period. A lot of people like Ruth.
She's got talent.
Yeah, she does, and or did. And but her records in E condition, that's a hard thing to find. You don't find Ruth Etting records in E condition. Those are typically very well enjoyed. Here is Lee Morse and her Bluegrass Boys. $50 minimum bid on that. Here's another nice blue wax Columbia. We saw one of these earlier. It's just nice to look at that. Oh my goodness.
It looks pretty nice.
Fletcher Henderson doing the Sugarfoot Stomp. Jack, wouldn't that look good hanging on your wall?
No, I'm going to play it.
And playing it.
Play
Yeah,
it
you hang this on
table.
your wall, and that real brilliant dark blue color is going to fade on you, unfortunately. So you don't want to do that. 75 minimum. Very nice record. And here we have the Chocolate Dandies on Vivatonal label Columbia. $75 minimum. $53.44 on that. Okay, here's Amy Simple McPherson and David Hutton. She was an evangelist in California, founded the Foursquare Church, which actually still has, there's a lot of Foursquare churches out there, especially on the West Coast. And This is a scarce record. There is another Columbia that she did, which turns up very, very frequently, but this is rare. This is $150 minimum bid for lot number 5346. 5351, a blue wax Columbia by Louis Armstrong. $50 minimum. Harlan Lattimore. Some people call Harlan Lattimore the
black version of Bing Crosby.
The black Bing Crosby, yeah.
Yeah, he was quite a crooner.
And so here we have him on a Columbia at a $50 minimum bid, lot number 5352. Okay, there's Rudy Valley Blue Wax Columbia. For a number of those have his caricature there at 12 o'clock. M- copy, $100 minimum bid, 5354. Another Rudy Valley Columbia, also M-, $100, 5355. I bought a complete set of these Rudy Valley late blue wax Columbias, and they are just they're wonderful to listen to, and just in perfect condition. My hope at one point was to put out a CD of them, but I had a lot of things I planned in my life that never actually came to fruition. Okay, lot number 5361 is $75 minimum. Faraday Groffet and his orchestra. He wasn't just a composer, he also had a band for a period of time there. Lot 53, what was that, Jack? 5360 something.
5365, I think.
$250 minimum bid for one of Glenn Miller's very first records. He issued 2 recordings on the Columbia label.
Well, recording under his own band, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was recording as a side guy for some time. Next up is this is Clara Smith Columbia, lot number 5371 for $75. 5374 for $50. Bud and Sam, what you do that for? 5375, $500 minimum. M- record, Kid and Coot, Keyhole Blues. Let's just take a look at that. See what a brand new Columbia would look like.
Pretty sweet.
Is that okay?
No, it's Columbia. Oh,
yeah. We get to okays here in a minute. Wrastling Till the Wagon Comes.
That's pretty nice.
Maybe we ought to listen to that. So here we have lot number 5377 with a $250 minimum. Clarence Williams and his Jazz Kings. It's a nice looking record in a 14,000 series. Here's another 14,477. Four Dusky Travelers. Vocal group, $150 minimum, 5378. And here's 5379 here. Moving on up the Columbia numbers, here's Bessie Smith for $250. Old Bessie Smith, she still has a lot of fans out there. A lot of people collect Bessie Smith records. Thomas Fats Waller and his Hot Piano. We've had this record through here before. I think we've played it on a Bitter Request show. This is lot number 5381, $150. 5382 for $500, Vance Dixon and his Pencils, Who Stole the Lock.
It's a pretty clever name.
14673 on that one. Now we're going to drop into the 15,000 series. 14,000 series was the race series for Columbia. 15,000 was their Hillbilly Country series. So here we have Riley Puckett doing Red Wing. 5385 is a lot number, $50 value, or minimum bid. A common record, but very uncommon in E+. You don't find E+ Riley Puckett records. Look at that, Jackson.
You don't.
Look at that. You believe that? That record's never been played.
It's pretty nice.
Seriously, guys, I'm not exaggerating. There are a lot of records in here that I am convinced have never been played, because I know where I got them. I know the circumstances behind it. I can't prove it, but
you just know.
We were talking hundreds and hundreds of records, like what we're talking about here in this run, which all look basically new. On number 5386, $50 minimum bid by the Spindale Quartet, whoever that was. Here's The Downfall of Paris by the Murray Brothers Harp Band. That would be a mouth harp. What is that? $53.88. It looks like $500. We'll be playing that on the Bitter Request show. Anyway, lot number 5474 for $150 is Joe Pullum. Actually, on the label here is Joe Bullum. But I don't know if that was a typo or if...
it's a lot of bull.
Maybe he just had a couple of ways of writing it. I don't know. Keep on going here. $250 minimum on lot number 5475 by Johnny Strauss. Hard Working Woman. You gotta love a hard working woman, Jack. 5476. Is that a $1,500 minimum bid I see on there?
Looks like it.
I think it is. That's Blind Gussie Nesbitt. And you will hear him doing He's the Joy of My Salvation on the Bitter Request show. I think we can pretty much guarantee that that record is going to show up. Now we have a series of Edisons here in plastic sleeves because we have the original sleeves with them. We don't typically keep an original Decca sleeve with a Decca record. It's kind of more trouble than it's worth, but your Edison sleeves are nice and scarce and desirable. So just the sleeves themselves in this condition, easily a $25 item. So throw the record in there. We've got a $250 minimum bid on Bob Pierce, Old King Cole, doing King of the Bungalows, E+ condition. Dealer stock, probably never played. Another one. Same situation, the New Yorkers, $150 minimum bid. E condition, lot number 5489 with the original lightning bolt sleeve. And our third copy is Vernon Dalhart, 11-cent cotton, $150 minimum bid with a lot number 5490. Now you'll notice that these have 14 series catalog number. This one is 2000 series, which would have been a country deal, but the N prefix was, if I recall correctly, Ray Weil told me that that was kind of a promo sort of a situation, and I have to go back to my notes to find out exactly what he said, but something along those lines, kind of a demo record or something. So Ray Weil was the unchallenged authority on Edison records, especially, well, Diamond Disc, but going all the way back to the North American phonograph companies.
We've got his Diamond Disc discography in our auction, I believe, right at the end.
Yeah, well, here we go. So if you're interested in Diamond Discs, this is still the most convenient reference work on Edison Diamond Disc recordings. 2-volume set covers, first volume is the 50,000 series all the way up through 52,651, which was the last issue in the Edison Pop series. Those, of course, would be electrical at that point. And then the other volume will cover your 80, 82,000, 83, and 84,000 series, which are operatic, classical, and light classical, plus your foreign series, plus your needle cuts, and in the back of this book, you also have I hear your long plays, and just bear with me here. Here are your 12-inch sample records. We sell those from time to time. Here is a 2-page deal, Edison Special Purpose Recordings or Special Records. He lists 23 individual records, Diamond Disc records that he was aware of. He did a lot of work at the Edison National Historic Site, so he was there at the laboratories where he was doing research. And these are the records that he found that he put into his discography. Over the years, as one of my collecting objectives was to fill out this series. I mean, that is like saying, well, I want to collect all the test pressings at Brunswick 7,000 blues singers would have come up with. Well, yeah, where are you going to start doing that? I don't know how it happened, but I wound up finding most everything on this list. Some stuff that we have not yet put in the catalog, but just amazing stuff. Some of the entries here are actually duplicated because he had heard about him, hadn't seen about it, so it was reported in a couple of different ways, so they are actually the same record in a couple of entries. Some of this stuff he's very short on information because he didn't know what it was, but we have. Like one of the ones that we have in this catalog I showed in Reel 2 is in here. It was the
Say it to the Ediphone.
do you see Say It to the Ediphone here?
Mm.
Yeah, here we have Say It to the Ediphone.
Yeah.
Now he's got the Jones and Hare, but we're selling the alternate take by a different artist altogether that's not even in this list. So there's that, kind of. And then the other one was that Jobbers Convention deal. And that's, I think, in here, maybe somewhere. Anyhow, so that for those of you who collect Edison diamond discs, this is almost an essential reference work, even to this day. Okay. Jack, if you wouldn't be mentioning stuff like that, we'd get a lot more done. All right, let's start with Jeanette.
Well, we wouldn't get more done. We'd just get less done quicker.
That's pretty heavy. That's good, Jack. That's very good.
Oh, well, you got to keep me around for something.
Well, that Jack, man, he just never ceases to amaze. Every day is like a new day with Jack. You just never know what's coming out.
You just never know, Jack.
You don't know, Jack. All right. So here we have a Jeanette record. We're getting into our Jeanettes. Not a whole lot of them, but a few. This is Alberta Jones, accompanied by the Ellington twins, Lulu Bell's boyfriends. Do you have any idea what that's all about?
Well, we get to see who they are, I think.
Do we know who Lulu Bell's boyfriends are?
I wrote it down on the sleeve there, I think.
No, you wrote down 78 Quarterly says about 15 copies.
Well, I put it in the catalog, though. It was like Ellington and Otto Hardwick.
Okay. All right, good. Well, I'm glad somebody reads the catalog.
Good boyfriends.
Hey, this is a $300 minimum bid on this record, and it is sweet. You see the little GE up here, which is not General Electric. That's Jeanette Electrical. So this is an electrical recording. One of the early ones where they were designating that was, in fact, the case. All right, $200 minimum bid on the original Memphis Melody Boys doing Bluegrass Blues, lot number 5493. Josephine Beatty and the Red Onion Jazz Babies. How about that?
Yeah, so you got Louis Armstrong and Sidney Bechet on there.
I'm thinking that's a $500 minimum bid. Yeah, E- condition. Don't you think that's a $500 minimum bid? You wouldn't sell that for $300, would you?
Well, it definitely won't sell for $300.
No. All right. This is $250 minimum bid, lot 5516 for Josh White, Little Brother Blues. Okay, Buddy Moss, Prowling Woman, $1,000 minimum bid for lot 5517, M- condition. Let's take a look at it. Okay, there's an M- melatonin for you.
An M- Buddy Moss melatonin.
Yes. Thank you for that.
It looks like it has gathered no moss. So.
When I'm Dead and Gone. Okay. A record that has possibly never been played. I probably auditioned it when I was going through them, but probably didn't play all through both sides. Oliver Naylor's Orchestra on a really nice American Odeon. This O-N-Y, Odeon, New York. Kind of a sister label to OK at the time. Also being pressed as part of the Columbia Group. $50 minimum bid, 5528 E+ condition. Lot number 5533, $200 minimum bid. Look at Beauty, Mark says. Beauty, beauty, beauty. Underline it 3 times with an exclamation mark. By Clint Jones, the Blue Valley Blues. So here we have $250 minimum bid on 5534. Doing this is the Chicago Foot Warmers doing Lady Love.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to find any record by them in good shape.
And here's a small label Red OK Electric. $500 minimum bid, 5536 E plus condition, Louis Armstrong, and a Savoy Ballroom 5. It's a little bit later pressing, but E plus shape. That's a hard record beat. So an earlier record here. This is a Black Label Large OK Electric. Hot Heels by Ed Lang. $150 minimum bid, $55.37. It looks like we're going to be playing that. $250 minimum bid, $55.38. High Society by Clarence Williams Washboard Band. So you see, we had a large black label. Here's a small red label. Here's a small black label. Your smaller labels generally were later than your large labels. In case you're wondering about that, this is lot number 5539, $75 minimum bid, Clarence Williams Washboard Band. $1,000 minimum bid, $55.40 in E minus condition. This is a Mississippi Sheiks with Bo Carter. Take a look at that since it's $1,000. You can see what you're bidding on. You get some little dust thrown in there, no extra charge for that. And it has a few little light lamb cracks there.
Yeah, they don't sound though.
And that is described. If you look in your catalog, you'll see it says it has some small lamb cracks, but they don't sound, and it's a clean record. Look at this. This is Clarencio Guillermo y su Diablos del Jazz. All right, so that is a Clarence Williams pressing for the Mexican market. It's the same recording that was released here in the States, but just with Mexican titles and so forth. That is $250 minimum bid, lot 5541. Now, not always will it be the same recording. A lot of times you'll have a vocal that was issued in the States and an instrumental that was issued in South America.
And it's very common in Brunswick, like they would do that in Germany. And then, OK would, like the non-vocal takes were issued like on those American Odeons and stuff.
But if it was non-vocal here in the States, I think typically it's going to be the same take overseas.
Yeah.
All right, so lot number 5545, $250 minimum bid, Jack Links and his Birmingham Society Serenaders. Large maroon label, OK there. So we've jumped from the 8,000 series, it looks like, into the 40,000 series. Okay, so that's why we're going back to an earlier style of label. Eddie Lang, April Kisses, $100 minimum bid, and Noble Sissel, OK. It is $75 minimum, $55.47. There's a lot number on that. Dr. Eugene Ormandy's ensemble. Of course, I think we've talked about him before. He became a very famous conductor. But earlier in his career, he was recording OKs. And he did not much care to be reminded about it, from what I have heard. This is an E plus copy for $100, lot number 5550. $100 minimum on 5555 for Frankie Trumbauer. Baby, won't you please come home? I'm getting hungry. $50 minimum, 5557. Running Ragged by Joe Venuti's Blue 4. 5558, $50. Freshman Hop by Jack Pettis Orchestra. Okay. Louis Armstrong, $150 minimum for $55.59. I Surrender Dear. $55.60, $100 minimum. Jamaica Shout by Coleman Hawkins. $55.61, $100 minimum. Another Louis, OK. Another Louis, OK.
It's Dupe, I think.
Is that 55.61.
Duplicate?
Yes, it is duplicate. Both for
So
$100.
2 lucky bidders
What does that say?
will get that record.
That is actually a first stamper pressing on that. So what is this? Yeah, same.
Wow. Lucky, lucky.
So both sides of both records, first stamper pressings. They were probably maybe been part of one of those collections I was referring to, and there were a few duplicates like that. So that could be that. So maybe 2 people will be very happy. Lot number 5578, $50 for the Scarecrow, who was actually Billy, what does that say, Jack?
Is it
Owens?
Billy M. Owens or something? But yeah, those, you'll see that the matrix number has a G prefix, and that means that it's a Jeanette Master, or it was dubbed from a Jeanette Master. Yeah, don't miss those low number varsities. There's some good stuff on them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we get to Victor.
Victor, $55.95. We're narrowing it down, Jack. We're getting closer. A lot of them, though. $200 minimum bid for Glenn Oswald Serenaders on a wing label. Here's Ernest Stoneman. $50 minimum bid for 5607. E-plus Stoneman record. That doesn't happen every day. What do we have here, Jack? Look at this. Look at this. Look at that Johnny Marvin autograph. It's not even in our autograph section. Sincerely, Johnny Marvin. $50 minimum bid, E-plus record, 5611. You know, the funny thing is, usually when you see these records that are autographed, they're brought up by a collector, and it's a beat-up, worn-out copy of something that they had the guy autograph because it's the best they could have found. Usually it's not the guy who bought the record out of the record store when it was new who got the autograph. It's the collector, you know, years later who comes up with this well-played, well-enjoyed record and say, hey, would you autograph this? So finding a Johnny Marvin autograph on an E-plus record, that you're not going to see one of those again. All right, so why is this one in a bag? Oh, look at this, Jack. This has the original dealer sleeve with it, right? Huh? Oh, 20593, January 20th, 1928. 20593 here. So this is the sleeve that the dealer would have stored this record in. Okay, this has a $500 minimum bid. And this is John Hyman's Bayou Stompers, Ain't Love Grand on one side, and you know what the other side is, right? Yeah. Alligator Blues. It may have been on our cover. $500 minimum bid for $56.22. Louis Dumain's Jazzola 8, Pretty Audrey. It's also got the dealer sleeve. You know, when we put these sleeves in here, Jack, we ought to put the interesting side facing out so we can just flip it over without having to pull it out. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
So, $150 minimum bid for lot 5623, Thomas Waller with Morris's Hot Babies. If you see it if you see it credited to Thomas Waller instead of Fats Waller, then he's generally going to be on the organ. $200 minimum bid for 5626, Edna Winston. L.C. Priggett, Sure as You Take a Woman from Somebody Else. That doesn't sound like a good idea, Jack. $250 minimum bid for that 5630. It's a lot number. When I say ta-ta, it means goodbye. Martha and L.C. Priggett. That sounds like a record. Well, it does say Bitter Request Show. We may be listening to that, Jack. Before it's all over with.
Oh, man.
Oh, you like that?
I like that.
Ross Deluxe Syncopators, Florida Rhythm. Boy, our hearts go out to the people in Florida. I hope some of our good friends have made it out there okay. This is lot number 5631, $500 minimum bid. Where are we, Jack? 5635, $500 minimum bid, Dixieland Jug Blowers. 5638, $100 minimum bid, Alabama 4 doing the Queen Street Rag. Another dealer sleeve there. All right, see, falling apart. Those things are just really full of acid, and they just crumble. J.W. Day, the Wild Wagoner, $150 minimum bid, $56.45. Victor 21413, $250 bid, $56.48. Thelma Lee and B. Smith. Dixieland jug blowers.
Oh, man.
$750 minimum bid. Bangerino E Plus, $56.50. Is that a good record, Jack?
As far as jug band records go, that is a pretty fun one.
So, how about that?
Pretty sweet.
Is that going to work? Love blues. I do like my jug band records. Those are good. Washboards. Hokum stuff. I'm not a big blues fan. It's a good thing. It'd be a real tough thing if I was a big blues guy and then I'd have to sell all this stuff.
You know, the minimum bids would be a lot higher.
That may be, yeah. $56.56 is $250 minimum bid for Pope's Arkansas Mountaineers. Get along home, Miss Cindy. That's kind of a standard. Memphis Stompers, Goofer Feathers Blues, $500 minimum for $56.58. E plus, M minus. Reverend Sutton E. Griggs, $50 minimum for $56.63. Dr. Smith's Champion Horsehair Pullers. It's one of those great band names. In the Garden Where the Irish Potatoes Grow. $250 minimum, E plus, lot number 5664 for your bidding pleasure. Ben's Bad Boys, $56.76, $50. And Jimmy Rogers, Howellville's Last Ride, $56.96, $50. And $57.13, $250. Benny Moten and his Kansas City Orchestra, Buster Moten piano accompaniment, it says there. A late 22,000 series Victor. Lot number 5722 for $75 is Henry Allen Jr. doing the Patrol Wagon Blues. Lot number 5723, $50, Don Jose's Havana Orchestra, the Candyman. Yeah, so we're getting into our 2023 series, or just finished that low little series there. Now 23-200s. Now we start getting into some pretty scarce stuff. Here's a Memphis Jug Band on 23251 in E plus condition. Did you hear that, Jack? E plus condition, 23251. Look at this. Papa's got your bath water on.
That's nice of him.
Wow, look at that. What's on this side? Oh my goodness, the 4th Street Mess Around.
Pretty nice.
Vocal refrain by Charles Nickerson. Hattie Hart and Will Shade on this side. That's a lineup for you now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Come on. 78 quarters release says less than five copies known. 765 copies were reported as being sold. Less than 5. How many of them grade E+? Probably not too many. All right. Lot number 5725 with a, is that a 3 or 500?
Looks like 5.
$500 minimum bid should be for 23253. Teddy Bunn and Spencer Williams on an M- copy of Chicken and the Worm.
Wow.
I don't care who you are, that's going to upgrade whatever you've got on that record. This is Slow Guitar Blues, Buster and Jack, $500 minimum bid. M- 23257, lot 5776. M- 23273 by Hattie Hart. We just mentioned her. 409 copies sold. $2,500 minimum bid. Lot number 5727. This is what it looks like.
Wow. It sounds even better.
Won't you
But
be
not by
kind
much.
to me? My goodness gracious. Wow. Okay. Hate to sound like a broken record.
I hate to even mention the word broken record.
Lizzie Miles, Electrician Blues, 23306, E plus condition, $750 minimum bid. Getting on up there, 23323, Washboard Rhythm Kings. Was that the human thing to do, Jack? E condition, I guess that's $250 minimum bid. Lot number 5729. 5730, 250. Dixon's Harlem Orchestra, Jam Man, 23377. E minus minus on one side, E plus on the other, but still a very nice recording, lot number 5730. You're not going to complain about an E minus minus record when the catalog number is 23377. Unless, of course, it's Decca 23377. You might complain about that. So this is your E minus side. A little bit of wear, a little bit of grain. And that's your E plus side. So that is a very rare record. $250 minimum. If that had been a true E plus all across the board, we would have been looking at something a little bit different. $500 minimum. Rich Man, Poor Man, or Poor Man, Rich Man. Man as you wish. David McCarn. A recording out of the 23,500 series. So now we've gotten into the Hillbilly Country series. Take them for a ride. I believe that is a bit of request show item right there. 5732, $250 minimum. Jimmy Davis, Bearcat Mama from Horner's Corners. M minus E condition. You don't find Jimmy Davis records in M minus condition very often.
No, you don't.
Slim Smith, Ottowood the Bandit. M minus shape, $500 minimum, 5733, bit of request show. Is that 250 minimum?
Yep.
5738 for Fess Williams and his Royal Flush Orchestra. We've gotten into the 24,000s now, so we're back in the normal popular run of Victor's series. The series started at 16,000 and it went all the way up into the 27,000s before it was wrapped up. This is lot number 5743 with a $50 minimum bid. And Louis Armstrong, what does it say, Vipers? Does it say Vipers language side too?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Is that a
it's
scat
a,
thing?
yeah, it's just kind of a funny vocal thing. But yeah, you know, it's not like we're in the early 24,000 series though. You're still looking at very limited number of sales.
Oh, yes, you are.
Nobody was buying records in 32.
Yep.
So you know, don't think that just because we're out of the 23,000s, the 24,000 are still very desirable.
Yep. They certainly are, and there's some great stuff on it too.
Mm-hmm.
57.55, $50 minimum here on a Richard Himber Winter Wonderland, and here's a Cole Porter with another $50 minimum bid. Cole Porter is singing one of his songs, "You Are the Top," lot number 5756, and thank you so much, Mrs. Lowesboro. Goodbye. Another one of his songs. Here's Cole Porter, $150 minimum. This one is in E plus condition. Another couple of his songs, lot number 5758. I'm a gigolo. Are you a gigolo, Jack?
No.
No, he's not. Jack is not a gigolo. He is a happily married man. She's No Trouble, Benny Moten. Where did I get the South from? I don't know. This is lot number 5816. All right, so 5817. Here's Fess Williams. $100 minimum bid on that little number, and 5818, $150 for McKinney's Cotton Pickers. Another record's fairly common, Save It Pretty Mama.
But not in that shape.
But not in that shape.
Yeah, that's one of their more common ones, but not like that.
Okay. If you were going to save it Pretty Mama, that's probably the copy you want to be saving.
Well, speaking of saving and everything, just so you know, we here at Knox Vintage Records understand that you know, these records are expensive. You can't find them anywhere else. And we also understand that as an audiophile, you are particularly hard to Christmas shop for or find birthday presents. And
Right.
to serve that notion, I mean, obviously, you can have your family just give you some money and say, here, do whatever you want with it. But we do have some cute little gift cards made up that look like tiny little records. They come in a little Knox Vintage Records sleeve, and your family can buy those for you, and you can use them for store credit.
Or you could use them for drink coasters.
Yes,
Either way.
after you use them up, use them as a drink coaster.
That's right. So, yeah, that's a good point, Jackson. What is a record collector like to be given? Duh, records.
More records.
But you know what it's like. Okay, you know what it's like.
What do you want for Christmas, Jack?
You get a present and you open it up and somebody's giving you some 78s and you're looking at him like, seriously. I mean, they found
well.
78s. They thought you just liked every 78. It's like, oh yeah, you're a collector of baseball cards. Here, I'll give you my collection. And it's like 1994 Topps cards that you wouldn't even paper a wall with them. It's like, you don't get it. It's not because I'm a baseball collector doesn't mean I want every baseball card. Where's my Mickey Mantle rookie card? Where's that? So no.
Mark's probably got your answer.
You don't want your mom buying you records, or your girlfriend, or your wife. You leave that to the experts. You just have them get you a gift certificate, and you can take care of the rest. That's the way it works.
Yeah. One time my grandma came through with me for some really good stuff.
Did you really?
But just once. But that made it up for all the other ones. But yeah.
Here we go with lot number 5819.
Hey.
Washboard Wiggles by Tiny Parham and his musicians.
I've got a copy of that, but it's beat up.
Well, here's an upgrade for you.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
5820, $500 minimum bid. And this is Cecil Scott and his orchestra. Bright Boy Blues. What did Jack write on here? Listen to Chloe in chorus side 2. I think I did. I think that's why I wrote Bitter Request Show on this. That's a pretty cool record.
Very cool.
Okay. Dancing Dave, Henry Allen, is New York Orchestra, $250 opener on lot 5822, E+ condition.
The New York Orc.
New York. Futuristic Blues, Wilton Crawley and his orchestra, 5823 for a 500 minimum. What is Jack saying on there?
So Louis Russell plays on Futuristic Blues the piano, but on the other side, You Ought to See My Gal, it's Jelly Roll Morton.
Oh, really?
Which is a really good record, but yeah, a good cameo appearance by them.
Cool. Okay, so now we are up to 5824, $200 minimum bid. King Oliver Edna. This looks like it's an Argentine pressing.
So we had that that was issued for South American market. Now here's the Victor version of that.
So, Argentina issued a lot of American jazz. And it's typically on an Argentine type pressing, whatever the label might be. It's not identical to what you would have bought here, but it's still an original recording, and still just as desirable as something that you would find here.
I typically have experienced that the material that they used was better.
Really?
Like less grainy and everything. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of that again is where and how it's been stored. But okay, lot number 5825. $300 minimum. Jimmy Lunsford and his Chickasaw Syncopator, Sweet Rhythm. Lot number 5826, $250 minimum. Penitentiary by Bessie Tucker. Oh, look at this, Jack. We have hit our 38,500 series. Oh. Guys, this is a tough series to collect. In any condition, but much more so like this. Yeah. Some person, probably me, wrote down many persons would grade this E+. We've graded that, or somebody, Mark or I, have graded that E-. But look at that record.
Yeah, very nice.
So there you have it, Bessie Tucker. That is a $250. That actually should have a higher minimum bid than that.
Yeah, probably should.
Don't know what I was thinking on that. That
Well, it certainly won't sell for that, though.
Definitely not sell for that. Yeah, I minimum bid so much stuff at a time, and eventually it just kind of starts all looking the same. If it all looked like this, though, I wouldn't be complaining.
Well, because you see it in a database when you're working on it.
That's true.
Yeah, you don't get to. If you
different.
looked at the records, then it would be a different story.
That is very true. It's a whole new world when you're actually looking at records and looking at a list. As you guys know, 5827, $1,000 minimum bid. Memphis Jug Band doing the Jug Band Waltz. Let's take a look at that one.
Yep.
That's 38537 for you right there, guys.
Yeah, some people poo-poo because it's a waltz, but they were a dance band. They played for functions and they played waltzes too.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important folk music artifact.
There's a little edge chip right there, but it is described. It has very light grainy. That is also described. Otherwise, that would have an even higher minimum bid. Okay. My Little Isabel by Johnny Dodd's Orchestra, $250 minimum, 5828. Again, working our way up the 38,500 series. 38545, Telephoning the Blues by Vicky Spivey. $500 minimum, E+ condition, lot number 5829. Oh yeah, I should mention, just before this, we're about to wrap up here. Last night we had a couple people drop by, and they have a YouTube channel called Recordology. Mr. and Mrs. Recordology showed up last night on our doorstep. Kind of unannounced, not really. I mean, they had sent me an email the day before asking if they could come by. They happen to be in town from Colorado, and they go around doing record videos of primarily record stores in the various towns and places that they visit. And so they visited a few of the record shops here in the Houston area. They went to Cactus Records. They went to
Music Town,
Volume
Music. Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know anything about us, but somehow they found us, I guess, Googling Houston records.
Well,
stuff.
One of those guys might have referred them to us too, because we send a whole lot of people there.
We do, yeah.
Because we get a lot of calls saying, I've got the Beatles, so I need to sell them, and we're like, well, go to here. We don't do those.
Yeah. So anyway, I told Mr. and Mrs. Recordology that they would be welcome to come by last night, so they dropped in, and we spent a long time, a couple of hours. This was a new world for them, and we just had a really great time. It was so much fun to be able to show somebody who's not really as familiar with this as most of the people who walk through here, but who are intensely interested. And so we did a lot of filming last night. So that's, by the time you see this, those videos will be up. So if you want to see that, and you'll see some records and stuff in there that you've probably not seen before, because I haven't taken them out when other people have been through. Just search for Recordology on YouTube, and I think he's going to make 2 or 3 different videos out of what we did last night.
Yeah, I had to get home and let the dog out, so I didn't get to enjoy quite as much of that. But.
And then we went to a little Hong Kong Chinese restaurant down the street.
Man! Oh, no!
And just kind of capped it off.
Oh, you're killing me,
Taco
Kurt.
truck was closed at that hour, but
yeah, it does that.
We did our Chinese place. Okay, back to work here. 5830, $500 minimum bid. Lizzie Miles on 38571. Does that say Jolly Roll Morton is on that?
It does, but let's see what it says on the other side.
Oh, no. Here's what this is all about. Can you do a close-up on this?
Yeah, well, so we got that. There we go. Yeah.
So
nice.
Look at the composer credit, Jolly Roll Morton, but the L's are horizontal.
Rolled. They rolled.
So the guy who was typesetting this label took those little slugs and he accidentally rotated them 90 degrees. Isn't that cool?
Because the other side's normal. But.
So we have Jelly Roll equals Morton on that side. And yeah, we got it straight here. Just one of those little things that you sometimes see. Just pick up on
Didn't
that.
have Jack to keep him straight there.
That's right. Well, 5831.
Oh.
I don't know if that's a 750 or... Yeah, that's got to be a
750, yeah. Oh.
Astoria Strut by Jones and Collins Astoria Hot 8.
Ugh.
Victor V 38576.
Ugh.
M minus condition.
Killing me.
Jackson wanted to see it.
No. I don't want everybody to know how good it is.
Yeah, it's really terrible. I mean, it looks good, but it sounds awful. You wouldn't want this record.
No.
This is not a record you would wish to add to your collection.
Fortunately, it was issued on Bluebird Scroll, and you can get a very nice sounding copy, which I've had for a very long time. And the other songs that they did 2 other sides, and those were only released on Bluebird, and those are the later Bluebirds, like that say like with the date that it was recorded and everything.
When you said Bluebird Scroll, you mean Bluebird Staff?
Staff, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so here we have lot number 5833 with a $2,000 opener. This is Noah Lewis harmonica, Devil in the Woodpile. Very, very rare record.
It's like a needle in a haystack.
38581. Yeah, needle in a haystack.
Devil in Woodpile.
And that's an M-78 quarterly, less than 10 copies of that.
Very cool.
Chickasaw Special.
So pretty cool to hear the jug band leader there as a solo artist.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a rare, rare recording. Oh, here we go. Now we got to a Cannon's Jug Stompers recording.
Last chance.
38593, and this may be your last chance to pick up a copy of this record.
Oof.
Gus Cannon's Jug Stompers doing Last Chance Blues and the Roosters Crowing Blues. We have a $3,000 minimum on that. 5834. I anticipate these records are going to go for more than that. Now this one, as some of the other Cannon's Jug Stompers we've had recently, has an edge chip. It's because at one point all these Cannon's Jug Stompers were in a file box that got wet on the bottom. The previous owner picked them up and they hit the pavement.
Of course, they were all in the same box.
All in the same box, and they were all the Cannons in one place. I mean, that's a horror story, right?
I think
this
there was
one,
a copy of
fortunately,
Bangerino in there too.
This one, edge chip does not come to the playing groove. So this one survived. Some of the others, the edge chip just took a big old bite out of it, unfortunately. It comes right up to the music, but it does not touch the music.
And, when we have these really expensive records, we try really hard to make sure we let people know exactly what they're getting. Some people will still somehow get distracted by how excited they are about this record and not read the defects, and they'll say, hey, this record is broken, or it broke in the shipment, blah, blah. And it's like, well, it's what it says it was in the catalog, man. You gotta read it.
Yeah, a guy called me up. He said, this record has a crack to the label. I looked it up. It says CTL. I said, it says CTL. Look in the glossary or the little abbreviation list in the front. Crack to label.
Look at what you bought.
Pay attention. Wilbur Sweatman. 38597 Breakdown Blues, E plus condition, 78 quarterly, about 5 known copies. $500 for that record. Well, $500 opener for that record. All right. You know, guys, you're looking at this, you're thinking, I can't afford this stuff, and that may be true. But there is so much of it that if you place a few bids on a few things, you have a very good chance of getting at least something. So you may not be able to afford to buy 10 of these things, but you might afford to be able to afford to buy 1 or 2. So what we do about that is we say, okay, I'm going to bid on these 10 records that I really want, or 20 or 5 or whatever it might be, but I cannot afford to win over X number of dollars. There are guys who will do that, and they will wind up winning half of what's on their list because they're getting it at substantially less than they thought that they would. And they were not planning on bidding on it at all to begin with. So it's all, if you've got money available and you want to bid on a record, go ahead and do it. Just give us a limit so you don't get yourself into trouble with your wife. And there's no telling what you're going to find. 5836, lot number. That is lot number 5836. What's the minimum bid? Is that a 2 or a 7?
I think it's a 250.
250 for the Bessemer Melody Boys. 38606. We've crossed the 600 mark now. Motherless Children. What do we have next, Jack?
How high will
623 Douglas Williams Orchestra 3 O'Clock Blues. 5838 is the lot number, and $500 is the minimum bid. 78 quarterly, about 15 copies. 5839 minimum bid $75. Now we're into our V40,000 series. That is another hillbilly country type, old southern, old time tunes series. 40137. This is Peg Moreland. You're Gonna Miss Me, Hun. Minimum bid $50. 5840 is the lot number. We're going to play that on the Bidder Request show. 5841, $500 minimum bid. Nice copy, it says. Jim Miller on doing Hard Road Blues on a late race series Vocalion. These also sometimes kind of get a little dull on the gold, as you see here, but that is a very nice, clean copy. Here's a scroll Vocalion, what we call a scroll Vocalion. 5848, $200 minimum bid, Bumblebee Slim. And finally, Carolina Cotton Pickers Orchestra on a blue Vocalion, $50 minimum bid. And the last record that we're going to be showing you today, Just Hot by Fletcher Henderson. $50 minimum bid, lot 5892. So guys, that wraps up our third and final auction highlights reel for Vintage Record Auction number 72. Again, download that from the website. Be sure to tune in and hear a Bidder Request show. If you can't tune in, or even if you can't tune in, go ahead and pick up a copy of this. Just let me know that you want it. $20 for upwards of 15 hours. That's, I think the last one we did of these, we played something crazy like 160 records. Can you believe that? 160 sides, cylinders, and discs. That's crazy. For $20, I mean, what do you want from us? Look at this catalog. We send this out free, Jackson. Free.
To people
What do you want for this?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we had to change things because we're paying almost double for these today that we were paying in spring. So if you're not bidding and actually winning things and paying for the catalogs themselves, then we're saying, guys, you got to help us out here. Send us some money if you want to continue to get the hard copies. If you're not paying enough to pay for the catalogs even. So that has changed a little bit, and we've already sent out an email of that on that, so they're aware of it. But if you do want to continue to receive the hard copies, you gotta bid, and you gotta win some stuff.
You gotta bid high, you gotta bid early, and you gotta bid often.
That is the key. That's the key. Guys, we appreciate your hanging through, or at least those of you who are still with us, we appreciate you hanging through. And, thank you very much for your patronage and your business over the years. It means a great deal to me, and I know it does to Jack and the rest of our staff. There's nothing we like better than to hearing guys saying, hey, I got my stuff. I'm totally happy with it. You guys are awesome. And looking forward to your next list. And that is what gives us the impetus to get up off our butts and put that next list together. So thank you very much for this. If you if you're watching this within the next few days, Bidder Request show is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks, and be sure and tune into that. So we'll see you. Auction closes October 29th. Take care.